Hey everyone, it's Jenny freaking Kim here. Today we're diving into something super exciting, a tier list featuring my favorite idols from 13 of the top girl groups in K-pop. We've got a lineup of 70 incredible idols, and I'll be ranking them based on their raw talent. Think vocals, choreography, and some extra elements like stage presence, confidence, and future potential. Now, our tiers range from solid all the way to legendary. I've got to say there aren't any bad idols in these groups, so the rankings won't go below solid. Keep in mind, this is just my opinion. If you've got your own thoughts, I'd love to hear them, so feel free to drop a comment down below. We've got a lot of talent to cover, so let's jump right in. I'm going to keep things simple and go through this list group by group. To kick things off, let's start with Nmix. First up, we have their big sister, Lily. Lily is someone I really admire. She's widely recognized for her powerful vocals, and she's pretty well-rounded in other areas like dancing and stage presence. She's fairly new to the scene, and I think she holds her own very well. That said, Lily absolutely deserves a spot in the Ilyit tier, so she's the first idol to make it onto that list. Next up, Haewon, the leader of Nmix. In my opinion, Haewon is the most well-rounded member of the group, and she does a fantastic job leading Nmix. Now, this isn't to downplay the rest of the members. Nmix as a whole is incredibly well-rounded, talented, and honestly, one of the most underrated groups in the industry, but when it comes to versatility, Haewon really stands out. Because of that, I'm placing her in the Ilyit tier ahead of Lily. Now, let's talk about Kyujin. As the maknae of the group, Kyujin is incredibly talented, especially considering her age. Her choreography skills really stand out as her strongest attribute. I truly believe that she has a lot of potential to become a future ace. Therefore, I'm placing Kyujin in the rising star tier. Seolyoon, I absolutely adore Seolyoon, but when I compare her to the previous three members, I feel she doesn't quite match them in most areas. That's not to say she's a weak idol, far from it. In fact, her stage presence is one of the best within the group. With that in mind, I'm placing Seolyoon in the rising star tier just behind Kyujin. Next, Bae. I'd say Bae is the most underrated member of Nmix. She's well-rounded in many areas, though I feel her stage presence isn't as strong as some of the others. That being said, I'm placing Bae in the rising star tier, just ahead of Seolyoon. For our final Nmix member, we have Jiwoo. Like Bae, Jiwoo is well-rounded and underrated, but I feel she's not quite as strong in stage presence. I'm placing Jiwoo in the rising star tier between Bae and Seolyoon. While Bae might have a slight edge in raw talent, Jiwoo's enthusiasm is truly unmatched. With that being said, I believe Nmix is a remarkably balanced group and is incredibly underrated. I'm really hoping that one day they get their big break and get to show us their full potential. Next up, let's talk about IVE and start with their big sister, Gal. Even though Gal is the oldest in the group, she feels more like the little sister to me, both in terms of height and skills. Compared to the other members, she doesn't quite have the same level of impact. In my opinion, Gal is the least strong member of the group, so I'm placing her as the first idol within the solid tier. Ray, I think Ray is incredibly underrated and has shown impressive growth, especially since the baddie era. Her confidence has really soared, and I absolutely love her rapping skills. Ray has so much potential, and I'm excited to see where she goes from here. Because of this, I'm placing Ray in the rising star tier, right behind Kyujin. I feel that Kyujin is a bit more well-rounded at the moment, but Ray is definitely on a promising trajectory. The maknae of the group, Liseo, for her age, Liseo is doing remarkably well and has a lot of potential. However, I feel that Ray currently overshadows her a bit, as Ray has shown more growth and development. I'd place Liseo in the rising star tier, but just behind Jiwoo. I think Jiwoo's skills are a bit more polished at this stage. Next up, Liz. I'd argue that Liz is one of the most underrated members in IVE. She's shown significant development since her debut and is very well-rounded. I especially loved her performance and vocals during the IVE Switch era. For her age, she's a remarkably strong idol. I am placing Liz in the Ilyit tier, just behind Lily. Next, Wonyoung. Wonyoung's stage presence is truly captivating and could easily put her in the ace category. Many would argue that she is the it girl of the fourth generation. I absolutely adore Wonyoung. She's been incredibly consistent since her Love Dive era. Given her impressive presence and well-rounded performance, I'm placing Wonyoung at the front of the Elite tier. Lastly, the leader of IVE, Yujin. Yujin is incredibly powerful and excels in all areas of her talent. While Wonyoung's stage presence overshadows her, I believe Yujin has more exceptional raw talent, but she also has strong stage presence as well. Because of this, I'm placing Yujin as the first idol in the ace tier. IVE is such a powerful group and are Daesung caliber with good reason. They are right on track and have the ability to consistently win more Daesungs in the future. Moving on to our next group, Sserafim, let's start with Kazuha. In my opinion, Kazuha might be the most underrated member of the group. Her stage presence may not be on the same level as Sakura or Chaewon, but she brings something truly unique to the table. With her background as a ballerina, Kazuha has a distinct dancing ability, often performing moves that set her apart from the rest. Because of this, I'm placing Kazuha in the rising star tier, right behind Jiwoo. Next up is Yunjin. In my opinion, Yunjin has the best vocals in the group. Beyond that, she also displays strong leadership qualities, second only to Chaewon, thanks to her well-rounded abilities and high level of confidence. I'm placing Yunjin in the elite tier right behind Liz. Now, let's talk about Sakura. As the oldest member of Sserafim, Sakura has been in the industry for quite some time. I have mixed feelings about her though. Her stage presence and choreography skills are exceptional, but her vocals are her biggest weakness. From what I've observed, her voice doesn't naturally lend itself to becoming a strong vocalist. If her vocals were to improve, I believe she could reach elite or even ace status. However, that's not the case today, so I'm placing Sakura in the solid tier ahead of Gal. Next, let's talk about Yunchae, the little sister of the group. Like Sakura, Yunchae's stage presence and choreography stand out more than her vocal abilities. However, her vocal weakness isn't as prominent as Sakura's. Because of that, I'm placing Yunchae in the rising star tier, but just behind Seohyun. Finally, the leader of Sserafim, Chaewon. Chaewon is a very well-rounded idol, with her biggest strength being her choreography. Her confidence and energetic attitude make her an excellent leader. I'm placing Chaewon in the ace tier behind Yujin, as I believe Yujin's vocals are way stronger. Overall, I think Sserafim is a pretty solid group, producing some of the best songs in the fourth generation. I'd even argue that they have some of the best choreography in all of fourth gen. However, their one weakness as a group is their vocal talents. If they can improve in that area, I believe they could have the potential to become a legendary group. Next, let's move on to Red Velvet, and starting with their leader, Irene. I think Irene is a solid leader. Not as explosive as some other leaders in the industry, but she's well-rounded in her role. I'm placing Irene in the ace tier, just behind Yujin. Next up is Seulgi. I'd argue that Seulgi is the ace of Red Velvet, as she's extremely well-rounded, with all her attributes being top tier. Her vocals and choreography in particular are outstanding. Because of this, I'm placing Seulgi as the first idol in the legendary tier. Next up, Wendy. Wendy is best known for her incredible vocal abilities, but she's also well-rounded overall. I personally think Wendy has some of the best vocals in the entire industry. However, she's not quite as strong as Seulgi overall, which is why I'm placing Wendy in the ace tier in front of Yujin. Next, we have Yeri, the maknae of the group. I believe Yeri's strongest attribute is her choreography, though it doesn't quite match the level of her older members. While she is improving, I think she falls just a bit short overall. Because of that, I'm placing Yeri in the solid tier behind Gal. Lastly, Joy. Joy is well-rounded and has kept pace with her fellow members, showing significant improvement since her debut. I'd also say she's one of the most underrated members. I'm placing Joy in the elite tier behind Haewon. Overall, I think Red Velvet is a very strong group, and the fact that they are one of the few third-gen groups that are still active is incredible. Moving on to our next group, Kiss of Life. Let's start with their leader, Julie. Julie is an excellent leader who excels in all areas and performs with the experience of someone who's been in the industry for many years, despite being a fifth-gen idol. I'd confidently place Julie in the ace tier, in front of Chaewon. Next up is Hanul, the little sister of the group. Hanul is also well-rounded, though I'd argue that she's not quite as powerful as Julie. However, her talents still stand out within the industry. I'm placing Hanul in the elite tier behind Haewon. Now let's talk about Natty. Natty is truly special, and her dancing skills are so powerful that I believe she could reach the level of Twice's Momo. However, I think Julie is a bit more polished overall. Because of this, I'm placing Natty in the ace tier behind Julie. And finally, for Kiss of Life, Belle. Belle's vocals are incredibly powerful, and I'd argue she's one of the best in the industry right now, not just in the fifth generation, but overall. However, her stage presence and choreography might not be as strong as the other members. That said, she still holds her own. Overall, I'm placing Belle in the elite tier, just behind Haewon. Overall, I think Kiss of Life is full of talent and explosive potential. I would argue that they are going to be leaders of the fifth generation in the near future. Moving on to NewJeans, and starting with Minji. I'd argue that Minji is very well-rounded and could be considered the unofficial leader of the group. She has consistently been a strong member since their debut. I'm placing Minji in the elite tier behind Yunjin. Next, Heron. Heron has shown significant growth in my eyes. She started out strong, and as she's become more comfortable within the group, her confidence has really shown through, making her attributes strong overall. I'm placing Heron in the rising star tier behind Kyujin. Danielle. In my opinion, Danielle is the strongest and most well-rounded member of NewJeans. Her vocals and choreography are particularly impressive. I also believe that she has been the standout member since their debut. That said, the other members are not far behind. Therefore, I'm placing Danielle in the Ilyit tier behind Haewon. Now let's talk about Hani. Hani is also one of the strongest members of the group, and in my opinion, right behind Danielle. Her standout attribute, however, is her choreography. I'm placing Hani in the Ilyit tier just behind Liz. Lastly, we have Haein. I think Haein is pretty solid. I truly love her energy and enthusiasm. However, I think her fellow members overshadow her in most regards. I will place Haein within the rising star tier behind Bae. Overall, NewJeans is quite powerful. Their strong chemistry, high energy, and enthusiasm are unmatched. They also release some of the best songs out there and have been consistently impressive since their debut. I genuinely believe they're a legendary group in the making. For our next group, Ilyit, let's start with the little sister of the group. Iroha. I believe Iroha is the most underrated member of the group. Her dancing skills are quite powerful, often making her stand out from the rest. I'm placing Iroha in the middle of the rising star tier behind Liceo. Next, Yuna. Yuna is the leader of the group, and for good reason. I think she's the most well-rounded member of Ilyit and has shown great potential of developing into a strong leader in the industry. I believe Yuna deserves to be placed in the middle of the rising star tier behind Ray. Moving on with Wonhee, I would place Wonhee on the lower end of Ilyit, not because she isn't talented, but because I don't think she's quite as strong as the members mentioned earlier. However, her choreography is solid enough to keep up with her fellow members. I'm placing Wonhee in the solid tier behind Sakura. Next, Minju. I think Minju is a fairly strong member of Ilyit, and I'd even say she's the closest to Yuna in terms of overall talent. Minju's strongest attribute, in my opinion, is her vocals. I'm placing her in the middle of the rising star tier behind Bae. And for our final member, Mocha. Mocha's strongest suit is her stage presence and probably her rapping, but like Wonhee, I don't see her being quite as strong as some of the other members. I'm placing Mocha in the solid tier in front of Wonhee. Overall, I think we've yet to see the full potential of Ilyit, as they only debuted a few months ago. However, I believe they have plenty of room to grow and show off their talents in the near future. Our next group, and the final 5th generation group, is BabyMonster. Let's start with Aespa. I think Aespa is not only a strong member within the group, but also a standout idol in the industry. Her rap skills are exceptional, and I'd argue she could be one of the best rappers in the industry right now. I'm placing Aespa in the Ilyit tier, following Hani. Next, we have Chiquita. Chiquita has grown rapidly, and her skills have multiplied since her debut. I absolutely love her choreography and her vocals, not to mention her footwork is incredibly impressive. I would say that she's definitely a future ace in the making. I'm placing her in the rising star tier behind Kyujin. Then there's Ruka. Ruka is a powerful member of BabyMonster, and her performance in Sheesh was outstanding. Even though the group doesn't have an official leader, I believe Ruka could easily take on that role. Her attributes are sharp across all categories, making her another future ace in the making. I'm placing Ruka in the Ilyit tier, ahead of Lily. Ayeon, some might argue that she is already an ace, but I think she still has some ways to go to reach that level. However, she's definitely on the right path, and I'd even say she and Ruka are the strongest members of BabyMonster. I would say that Ayeon belongs in the Ilyit tier, and if I had to choose, I'd place her ahead of Ruka. Her stage presence is incredibly powerful, and her confidence rivals Chiquita's. I truly believe Ayeon was born to be a star. Next, Farida. arguably the most underrated member of the group, Farida is well-rounded in her skills. However, she may not be as powerful as some of her fellow members, and her stage presence is still developing. That said, I don't think she's too far behind. I'm placing Farida in the rising star tier, just behind Bae. Next up, Rami. Like Farida, I think Rami is also underrated and has well-rounded attributes. However, she may lack the stage presence and explosiveness of some of the other members. I'm placing Rami in the rising star tier ahead of Minju. And finally, Rora. Rora is another underrated member of the group. Like Rami, she has well-rounded skills, but I believe her vocals stand out as some of the best within the group. I'm placing Rora in the Ilyit tier, just behind Minji. While BabyMonster is still a very young group, I believe they have the greatest potential to achieve legendary status in the future. They're incredibly exciting to watch and are brimming with talent. We now enter the part of the video where we'll be covering some of the most seasoned groups in the industry. Distinguishing between these top-tier idols will only get more challenging, but I'll do my best. Let's dive in. Let's talk about the one and only Itzy, starting with NewJeans. NewJeans is a very powerful idol, and I'd argue that her stage presence is one of the strongest within the fourth generation. She's exceptionally well-rounded, with her dancing and rapping abilities being standout attributes, without a doubt. NewJeans belongs in the legendary tier, behind Seulgi. Now, let's talk about Yoona, the maknae of the group. Yoona has shown significant growth, and her Born to Be era really showcased her improvements. Her stage presence has become even more compelling, and she is very strong and well-rounded. However, I believe NewJeans' presence is more dominant. Yoona's impressive skill set and high energy enthusiasm are qualities every idol should aspire to reach. I'm placing Yoona in the ace tier, just behind Natty. Next up, Leah. I know Leah has been on hiatus for a while, but she's expected to return for Itzy's next comeback, which I'm really looking forward to. From her previous performances, it's clear that Leah is a formidable idol, with her vocals being one of her strongest attributes. However, she is overshadowed by her fellow members. I'm placing Leah in the elite tier, just behind Rora. Next, we have Chaeryeong. I would argue that Chaeryeong is one of the most underrated idols in the entire industry and has shown remarkable growth within Itzy. Her abilities have significantly advanced and now stand alongside her fellow members like NewJeans and Yeji. Although her stage presence might not be quite on their level, Chaeryeong is undeniably a powerful idol, with her choreography being a standout strength. I'm placing Chaeryeong in the ace tier, just behind Julie, and finally, the leader of Itzy, Yeji. From day one, Yeji has proven herself as a powerhouse idol with exceptional abilities across the board. Her dancing and vocal skills are top-notch, and her commanding stage presence further enhances her performances. Her consistency and dedication highlight her commitment to her craft. Yeji is undoubtedly one of the best leaders in the industry, and her role as Itzy's leader is a testament to her impressive achievements. Yeji is truly deserving of to be within the legendary tier, though I will place her behind Seulgi. Itzy is undeniably a formidable fourth generation girl group that will go down in history as one of the greats. While they haven't quite reached the same heights since their wannabe era, Their Born to Be era has proven that they are still among the best in the industry. It's only going to get harder from here. For our next group, we have Aespa. Starting us out, we have Giselle. Much like Chaeryeong, Giselle is incredibly underrated and has shown significant growth since her debut. She has developed into a powerful and well-rounded idol. While her stage presence might not match the level of Karina's or Winter's, her overall raw talent is impressive and not far behind. I'm placing Giselle in the ace tier, just behind Chaewon. Next, Winter. Winter has always been a powerhouse, but her performance during the Armageddon era took her strength and stage presence to new heights. Her vocals are phenomenal, one of the best in the industry, and her versatility makes her one of the most dynamic idols around. Winter deserves to be placed in the ace tier ahead of Yoojin. Ningning. Like Winter, Ningning has consistently demonstrated strength across all categories since her debut. Though she may not be as dominant as Winter, her well-rounded talents make her a powerful member of the group. Ningning deserves to be in the ace tier, just behind Yoojin. And finally, the leader of Aespa, Karina. From the very beginning, Karina has showcased her exceptional abilities, excelling in every single category. Her unmatched stage presence and versatility make her a true legend in the making. Being the leader of one of the top groups in the industry is no small feat, and Karina unquestionably deserves her spot at the top of the legendary tier ahead of Seulgi. With this placement, Aespa is the first group to have all members in at least the ace tier. Next up is Twice, starting with Momo. Momo is renowned for having arguably the best dancing skills in the industry, and her overall strength as an idol is truly impressive. Her exceptional stage presence only adds to her powerful performance. Given her unparalleled talent and impact, I will place Momo within the legendary tier, just behind Seulgi, followed by Dahyun. Dahyun is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated idols in Twice, and perhaps even in the industry. She is exceptionally well-rounded, with her choreography being a notable strength. Given her strong skill set, I believe Dahyun deserves a spot within the ace tier, positioned just behind Giselle. Next, let's discuss Jonghyun. Jonghyun is another idol who I believe is very underrated in the industry. Her skills are well-rounded and she brings a lot to the table. However, I would give Dahyun a slight edge in terms of overall impact. Thus, I will place Jonghyun within the elite tier in front of Wonyoung. Chaeyoung shines with her impressive rapping skills, though she may not be as strong in other areas compared to some of her fellow members. Therefore, I will place her within the elite tier, position just behind Asa. Moving on with Nayeon. As the oldest member of Twice, Nayeon exudes incredible power in all aspects of her performance. If not for Jihyo, she could easily take the leadership role for Twice. Her stage presence is unparalleled, and her 2 solo albums showcase her potential as a soloist. For these reasons, I'm placing Nayeon at the very top of the legendary tier, just above Karina. Mina, with a background as a ballerina, Mina's well-rounded talents shine through, particularly in her choreography, which is her standout attribute. While her skills are impressive, they might not quite reach the level of Momo's. Nonetheless, Mina deserves a spot in the ace tier, right behind Yoojin. Next, Sana. Sana's enthusiasm is truly captivating, making her performances incredibly entertaining to watch. Her overall skills are impressive, and her stage presence is undeniably strong. I'm placing Sana within the legendary tier behind Yeji. Now, let's discuss the maknae of the group, Tsuyu. Tsuyu, much like Heron, started out a bit quieter and less confident, but her growth has been remarkable. she's become more comfortable with her fellow members, which has significantly improved her confidence, and because of that, she has been able to improve overall. I'm placing Tsuyu in the Ilyit tier just behind Haewon, and finally, the leader of the group, Jihyo. Jihyo has been training to be an idol for nearly her entire life, and now she leads one of the most legendary groups in K-pop history. Her skills are unparalleled as she excels in every aspect and is truly one of a kind. Jihyo is so amazing and is the best leader in the industry. Because of that, I will place Jihyo at the top of the legendary tier for now. Twice is a super talented group, and I'd even consider them overpowered. As one of the few third-generation girl groups still active, their continued success and dominance in the industry are a testament to how legendary they truly are. Moving on to our final fourth-gen group, G-Idol, starting with Yuki. Yuki is a very powerful idol who truly excels in every aspect. Her strong voice makes her stand out within the group, and her recent solo album is a testament to her soloist potential. Yuki definitely deserves a spot in the legendary tier, right behind Ryujin. Next, Miyeon. Miyeon is also quite strong, though not quite as powerful as Yuki. I really appreciate Miyeon's vocals and her well-rounded skill set. Sometimes I wonder what Blackpink might have looked like with her, but she fits perfectly with G-Idol. I believe Miyeon deserves a spot in the ace tier, just ahead of Yujin, following with Minnie. Minnie's stage presence is impressive, placing her at the level of an ace, and her overall talents are equally strong. Her vocals are among the best in the group. However, I would have to give the slight edge to Miyeon. I will place Minnie within the ace tier behind Ningning. Moving forward with Shuhwa. Shuhwa, despite being the maknae of the group, has shown some improvements since her debut. However, I don't think she comes close to anyone else within G-Idol. I will have to place her within the solid tier behind Sakura. Finally, the leader of G-Idol, Soyeon. Soyeon is truly one of a kind and a generational talent. Her dedication to music is unparalleled, and the way she leads G-Idol while making things happen behind the scenes is truly inspiring. She's incredibly powerful and talented, performing with a level of skill that often rivals some of the top third-generation idols. Her cool confidence and enthusiasm on stage are remarkable. Given her exceptional abilities and influence, Soyeon absolutely deserves to sit in the legendary tier ahead of Nayeon. G-Idol is arguably the greatest fourth-gen girl group and deserves to be in the conversation for the greatest girl group of all time. They are a truly powerful group that has left their mark on the K-pop industry. And for our final group, Blackpink. Starting with the big sister of the group, Jisoo. Jisoo has grown significantly since her debut, now radiating with stage presence and displaying well-rounded talents. While she may not be as strong as the other members in some areas, she is undoubtedly a legendary idol. I would place her just behind Momo in the legendary tier. Next up, Rosé. I personally believe that Rosé is one of the most underrated members of Blackpink and arguably one of the most underrated idols of all time. Her vocals are phenomenal and she excels in all categories with powerful performances. With her impressive vocal range and stage presence, she has undeniable soloist potential. Rosé truly deserves to be in the legendary tier behind Nayeon. Finally, let's talk about Lisa. Even though she is the youngest member of Blackpink, Lisa performs with the prowess and charisma of a seasoned leader. She is an incredibly powerful idol, excelling in all areas, with standout abilities in choreography and rapping. Her stage presence is arguably the best in the industry, and even of all time. Her solo work further solidifies her status as a soloist. With her immense talent and impact, Lisa undeniably deserves her spot in the legendary tier ahead of Nayeon. And for our final idol, Jennie. Jennie has been a star since Blackpink's debut, consistently proving her exceptional talent. Like Lisa, Jennie powerfully excels across all categories, with her rapping and vocal abilities standing out the most. She is also a strong soloist, and if Blackpink were to have a leader, Jennie would undoubtedly be the one to take over that position. Her aura and stage presence are among the greatest of all time, rivaling Lisa's. With her remarkable talent and presence, Jennie Kim deserves the top spot in the legendary tier. This makes Blackpink the only group where every member is in the legendary tier, a testament to their extraordinary collective talent. And I would argue that Blackpink is the greatest girl group of all time. Well, that concludes this video. If you've made it this far, I salute you and want to extend a big thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please support the channel by dropping a like and consider subscribing to catch more videos like this in the future. Your support means the world to me. Until next time.